Gotta get more followers.
Everyone, I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of walk through the trade I did today, which was Thursday, July the 21st. So I already put out a video with my trade day number 2, and this is where that trade occurred. But I was thinking about it after the fact. I was like, you know what? That was actually like a really good example of two different things that I can show you. So on my website back in December, I put out this free futures course, but part of that was my playbook. I recorded examples of each of my trade setups, and I still use these to this day. Now, the Catchup is the one that I get talked about the most. People ask me about it, and it seems to be people really have used it. And so the trade today was a perfect example of that. So if you want to see that original, video, just free futures course, page number 4 is the playbook with all my trade setups. I have 2 examples on there. And then as well, one of my other favorite setups is the break low or the break high. Now, a lot of times, well, I shouldn't say a lot of times, but sometimes these go hand in hand, and that's exactly what happened today. So I thought what I would do is replay the video of the trade, but I can pause it and actually walk you through what I was looking at, because in the moment it happened really quick. I was saying, whatever I could get out, but I was also trying to manage the trade. Now that it's after the fact, I know there's several things I wanted to point out that I didn't put in the original video because it was live. So I have my video from earlier today here up on the screen. It's paused. It's a few seconds or whatever before I enter the trade. So over here on the right-hand side is the Ultra Bond, and in the middle is the 10 years. On the left, I have the 30 years, but honestly, I haven't been using those as much. I've really been just kind of working these two together. So to give you a little bit of context leading up to this point, I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing. The 10 years had pressed up to their highs, and at the same, and this was, maybe 5 minutes before this, roughly. 10 years were at their highs, but so were the Ultra Bond. Ultra Bond was trading up here. When the 10 years started to back off just a little bit, you see they're only 2 ticks off their high. Ultra Bond is down, whatever this is, about 8-9 ticks from where it traded at its top. So this was kind of a nice setup for the Catchup. So the Catchup in very short form is just when, I really play the correlation between the different treasuries. They usually trade a little bit lockstep. So when they get out of whack, or when one overreacts to something, like I felt the Ultra Bond did today, the sellers just came in and pounded this down because they felt like, 10 years is selling off, let's get down here on the Ultra Bond. Felt like it was a bit of overreaction because then sellers really didn't push the 10-year that low. And at this point, it looked like they were going to start to push it again high. So in the video, and I'm going to mute the audio from the actual recording, but I kind of said, sometimes you just need to pull the trigger and just get in. When you see the setup, this is kind of tailor-made for the Catchup. Now, it's not going to work 100% of the time. Nothing does. But this was a good, I would say, pretty high probability trade, and it obviously works in our favor. And I will let it play here in a second. But I wanted to point that out while it was paused. So that's what had happened. These were trading at their highs. 10 years start to come down. Ultra Bonds kind of, I would, in my assessment of what happened, overreacted, sold off, and now the 10 years looked like they were getting ready to push back up, so I was jumping right in here, hoping for this push up. I'll mention it as well. You can see here the inside columns are the actual contracts traded. So to move down from up here to down here, they just flew through these few price levels. There just was not a lot of buyers here. Sellers just pounded right through. 2 contracts brought this down, 6 brought this down, 8 brought this down. So here's where they kind of stalled out. So you start to piece together all this stuff. There's no, when A and B happen, do C. Each situation is very unique. And I think over time you just start to see it. If you see it enough, you start to get a sense of when it might actually do what you think it's going to do and when it's iffy. So this was one of those ones where I was like, okay, time to enter a trade. So I'm going to let this play here. And I do zoom in, and I don't have the original video. I already deleted that. So I'm going to pause this really quick. And I even wrote on here, I zoomed in. So we can't quite see, so we don't see the 30-year at all anymore, but that's fine. We can't quite see the 10 years, but you can kind of see the price here. And know that the white numbers here on the left means that contracts have traded at that price. Dark means not. So they are up here at the highs. So let me just let this play a little bit more. And very quickly here, I go ahead and enter. And I'm going to pause it again really quick. They've kind of moved up a tick, and you're seeing the buyers, push this up. We got some buyers here. So let's just go a little bit further. So right now, I'm even showing you the white mouse is my original video. They just moved it up, a tick. You're still seeing the buyers pound on here. You're also seeing sellers start to pull their orders. Look at this. At all 5 price levels immediately above, sellers are pulling orders. That's what this negative column is the change in the orders. So good sign. Usually that's another just kind of visual cue. When somebody's pulling their orders and the other side is banging on them, it's just there's less to work through, essentially. So that's what I'm seeing here. So I'm really watching the 10 years, and I've mentioned this a few times. I'm not too I'm focused on the Ultra Bond in the sense that we've got a lot of ground we can make up, but I'm not too worried about this. I'm worried, or I shouldn't say I'm worried. I'm looking at the 10 years and seeing what they're doing. So let me just let this play. And sorry, there's going to be a lot of start and stop. So right here, I'm explaining, how they were just up here. So they have a lot of runway that they could make up here. So, and right there, again, you just see them push up another level. 224 contracts were, bought up here. That picked it up. And yeah, so now they're getting up here very close to the highs. And it looks like I'm getting probably ready to enter here any second. If you see me click this kind of 5-level hamburger up here, that just recenters my depth of market. If you see me click it a lot, excessively, really don't need to as much. It keeps everything centered. And sometimes if I right click on it, it'll recenter all the depth of market. So just so you know. So you won't know if I'm right clicking or left clicking, but if you see these automatically recenter and whatnot, sometimes that's what it is. Okay, so I backed this up just a second because I do enter here. I know it's not always the most obvious thing because I'm just kind of clicking on this depth of market. I don't want to give a full Jigsaw tutorial here, but I have it enabled so I can just click on the depth of market, and depending on where I click, Jigsaw knows what I want to do. So if I click on this number, it's going to know to put a limit order here. If I click here, it knows that I want to get in and just take the market order because there's no actual limit orders on the book right there, etc. And same thing when I place stops and take profits, depending on where I'm clicking relative to the position I'm in, Jigsaw knows what it is I want to do. So anyways, I'm about to go long here. And you're going to see it, and you'll see the number turn blue if you're familiar with Jigsaw. If you're not, you'll see the number go blue, and then you'll see the P&L populate over here on the left column for the Ultra Bond. So there I go long. I'm just going to pause this again right at the second. So they're still up here. They're pressing their high. I forget how many contracts had traded at this price because it's not on the screen. But we're long at a price of 19. And things are looking good at this point. These guys are pressing their high. We still have a lot of ticks. We gave up a few. We could have entered even a little bit lower. This is our per tick P&L. So we are long 4 contracts. And this is before commissions. But nonetheless, so there we go. We're long at 19 for 4 contracts. So keep that in mind. So this is the classic catch-up, I would say. 10 years at their high. They've been at their high, bit of pushback. Now they're rallying back it up. Same thing here in the Ultra Bond, looking to see this run up to here. So even if we had just grabbed 3-4 ticks, big winner. That's a nice trade. The second part of this trade, and we'll get to it while we're in the trade, but then is the break high. It really then not only does it go here, it continues to push, and we get a nice run up to, not to ruin the surprise, but if you've seen the other video, you already know. We get out at the price of 31. So we get a lot of ticks on this trade, guys. Normally I'm looking to make, 3-4 ticks on a trade. That's a great trade. So to get this many ticks, that's like a 12 tick winner. That's a big success on this one. So let me let this play. and I'll pause it whenever we get the next kind of interesting thing happen. So we're pretty much immediately in the good on this one, which is fantastic as well. It's kind of a free look because at this point, and I do it sometime shortly here in the trade, I put on my stop. It kind of sucks when enter a trade and it immediately goes against you. And now you have to decide, oh, do I need to just get out of this thing, or is it just a momentary thing? But in this trade, it's kind of picture perfect. We entered and it's doing what we wanted to do right from the start. So let me let this play a little bit longer, see and there we go. So look at contracts traded, guys. Again, these inside columns are the actual contracts traded. So, almost 1,200 contracts just wipe this price level out. And now they're trading up here. So they're just pushing their highs. And at the same time, we got a quick zip run here on the Ultra Bond, just up, up, up. So looking fantastic at this point. I'll let this play. So right here, I think here shortly. So it does pull back a bit on us. It's not picture perfect in that sense, but we're still in the good. This is still a set up to be a good trade. And again, I'm starting and stopping this thing. This all happened obviously fairly quickly. But what I'm seeing here is, even though the sellers are pounding the 10-year over here on the left, and that's again where my eyes kind of are, they weren't really able to push it down, and you're seeing the buyers push right back. So you like seeing that support. Also, I obviously I'm going to pause it again, put on my stop loss here on the right-hand side. So my 4 contracts, the S is for stop. And that's it. So I have a 1 tick losing, stop on this right now. I want to give it some room to play. That's another thing that you kind of have to judge based on the activity. Like right now, it's kind of flurrying around. I could put my stop at 20 or, but there's a chance it will come down, hit it, I'm out, and then it goes on its run. So you kind of get a sense over time as to how much leeway you want to give it, and you also have to match that with, how much are you willing to risk? Do I really want to put a stop way down here? Not really. But anyways, in this case, it worked out great that we're already in the good several ticks here, like, 3 ticks. So I was able to run a pretty close stop. Now, I'll let this play again. It's going to be a lot of start and stop in this video. But that's why I wanted to do this video, was to call out kind of what I was looking at the time and seeing. So right now, for the last few seconds at least, kind of a lull, just waiting to see what's going to happen. And so one thing that's important, and I just did it there, so when I'm in a trade, so while this is transpiring, you're kind of always on the offense. You want to, manage your trade. My style, and not everybody subscribes to this, but I want the stop, and I like to just kind of trail along. Now, in this trade, it works out really well because I already, spoiled it. If you haven't seen the original video, we hit our take profit, and take profit is not in place yet as you're looking at this, but it will be soon. But what I was going with that is I very much manually manage my stop. So I'm able to just click on the price and the stop will move to that price. So when you see my mouse and the stop moving, that's what's happening there. So I like to give it a few ticks leeway, the entire same story as earlier. If things start to really slow down, so it's not this trade, but if I was in this trade and say it got to here and it just kind of stalled, I'm probably moving my stop up a little bit closer, because it's like, okay, if it runs, I want to be in on the run, but it also looks like it might, come back against us. So I would probably manage the stop a little bit closer, because you want to get as much as you can out of it. Now, again, some people would say, well, a smarter move would just be to get out at the price, but I like to give it the opportunity to run. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. And at worst, you know what? We know we are getting a profitable trade out of this regardless at this point. So let's let it play. So right now, so here's a few things I want to point out. Again, you're seeing a lot of buyers pile on the 10-year. You're seeing the sellers, not a lot of happening over here. This is getting cleared out. There's only 160 left here, which is fairly thin for the 10 years. So expect to see that wiped out. It's not taking a lot of contracts to move through a price. So for example, only 12 contracts traded at this price. So that's what this column is. It's like a volume profile, right? And only 57 contracts traded at this price. It's not taking a lot of buying pressure to push through these price levels. So, and as well here, you see there's only 6. So this is actually a perfect place where it's kind of paused. There's only 6 orders left, 6 sellers left here on the order book and on the sell side, and 14 just pulled and 28 just pulled here. So the sellers are giving up, or whatever their specific positions are. We don't care that much. It could be people looking to go short and they're like, wait, nope, this isn't a good price because it looks like it's going to run higher. Whatever the case might be, they're dropping off. So all signs point to a continued run here. And one thing too, and I don't talk that much about it in my videos, I don't think I do anyways. So now we're in a position where not only are we've kind of caught up at this point, right? The catch-up is kind of done. We've caught up now. The Ultra Bond's at its high, and the 10 years are still, they're, if anything, they're kind of just off of their high. I mean, it just kind of happenstance of where I have it paused. So the catch-up, part of this trade is done. Now we're kind of moving into the break high. This is where people who have stop orders, if they were sellers and now they need to get out of these trades, all their stop orders are going to start getting triggered. And I suspect that's in part what happens. We don't clearly know exactly, but you really do see a rally fairly quickly, I would say, up. And again, just keep in mind, where we ultimately get out is at 31. So we still make up 5-6 ticks here. So let this play and we'll just see how it goes. So at this point, I'm still managing my stop over here. And at this point, you see me, what I'm doing is I'm counting up. I'm just going to pause it really quick. Just as an aside, there's a consistency rule. I was trading my trade day evaluation account. There's a consistency rule. You can only make X amount in a given day. They want to see that you can make money every single day, not just home run one trade. So I knew I didn't want to make more than 1,500. So I was counting up how many ticks just so I could place my stop, because I'd already kind of pre-figured out that 12 ticks was the most that I wanted to make. So I was just counting up here just to double check, make sure. I probably should have just known the amount, but so right here, I'm going to pause this. You see my mouse hovering here. Things kind of backticked for a sec. You're seeing a little bit here. This was a situation where I'm like starting to think, should I just get out? Should I just get out at this price? Let's take the 500. Let's take the 4-tick winner. That's an option. And probably if it had stalled for a little bit longer here, that's what I would have done. I just would have got out of this. All good things come to an end. It's not just going to break high indefinitely. Now, oddly enough, today the treasuries ran pretty hard up. But that aside, on a normal day, when you start to see these, they maybe break the highs a little bit and then they kind of stall, they pull back. That's where I was thinking. I was like, okay, maybe this little train ride is over, time to get off. But it doesn't happen, but that's just what I was thinking at this point. You see, though, immediately the buyers pop it back up. So we're back to our original plan here. Now I'm managing my stop. So I go back to my game plan there. Obviously, a lot happening, guys. Where I had to put in my take profit. So this was my 4-lot limit order. Q32 is your position in the queue. There's 32 orders on the books. I'm approximately the 32nd in line. It's kind of first in, first out type of thing. That's all on the side. Anyways, so let's just summarize where we're at right now. 10 years are still kind of pushing their highs right here. Still adding on. You're still seeing a lot of buyers here. You can also look at the ticker tape. I haven't really focused on the ticker tape, but look, you're seeing big orders come in from the buyers. I mean, I guess there's some big sellers as well, so that's not 100% indicative. But looking right here, 1,100 orders, so that would be these two. Plus, it could be some smaller ones. I have this actually filtered. And yeah, actually you do see some smaller ones here that wouldn't show up down here. So like there's that 750 here. So all these orders above. Anyways, guys, we are, don't want to get too aside. So we're in a good position at this point. We're pushing this high yet again. We got our stop loss on here. If things turn against us, we have our take profit, so we don't go above where we want to. So let's let it play. So at this point, we just got a little stall. There we get a nice little pop again. And I'm moving my stop. I'm managing my stop. You're still seeing the 10 years. Now this moves, and there it went out. So I'm actually going to pause this and let me just roll this back. Just maybe there's even good. So that happened pretty quick. So if it had been a bit slower, honestly, I probably would have been moving my stop up, my stop up, my stop up. But it happened kind of so quickly that didn't have time to do that. And you saw there, and I'll let it play again in a second. It quite literally pops up, hits this. Now I also have my DOM set to auto recenter if it moves. I believe if it moves more than 6 ticks off of center. So since this is 6 ticks, it kind of hits it and it recenters at the same time. So it looks weird on the screen. That's why there's a slow motion version after, just to try and, because there it got filled, and then now it's the slow motion version. It got filled and the price, it recentered itself. So just so you know what happened there. So I don't know if the slow motion even helped that much. I can try, and we won't try for too long. So here's like kind of just after it hit this. My stop, I also have Jigsaw set, so of course as soon as the order is kind of complete, our trade is done, it will cancel, like, if it hits our take profit, it'll cancel our stop. It hasn't done it at this exact freeze frame that I have it set at, but that's what happened there. So you see some contracts traded at 31, that's what set off, my take profit. That is gone, we're out of the trade, and then this thing will cancel in a second, and this thing will pop down. So, yeah, I don't know if, there's probably not much more to see there. I'll just let it play. Yeah, it happens like lightning quick, hits it and recenters. So that's basically the trade. And then of course I like to throw in funny animated GIFs and memes and whatnot, guys. Come for that entertainment as well. And you can see here, so this is after the fact, and I was talking about the trade and whatnot. So we got out at this price. It looks like a few contracts came up and traded 1 tick above. I'm just going to pause the video here. I was opening a calculator to do stuff. So 6 contracts traded here, and you can even see them right here. 4 sold, 2 were bought. Against 2 were hit the sellers, 4 against the buyers. And then now look at this though. This is not very long after our trade. So we literally hit our take profit. It just touched above, and now it's already come back several ticks. So the wild world of treasuries, guys. But that's, if anything, that's a good kind of what I was talking about earlier on, where sometimes you get those break highs, then you get a little pullback, and that's actually exactly what transpired today. The treasuries just ran up and up. So there was a lot of potential there for buyers if you were kind of in it for the long haul. But nonetheless, hopefully that was helpful. I know that was just a ton of information, but that is quite literally what is happening, kind of rapid fire in the moment. To summarize, the big things are: 1, looking for setups, which that was the catch-up. We get in. The move in our favor immediately definitely helped. Putting our stop on is kind of my next, move, if you will. And then as the price moves, managing my stop. And then if we need to, setting a take profit as well. And then, of course, just managing it then. Once it's, in the good, it really is a matter of just managing the trade and trying to squeeze as much as you can out of it. So I think that's all I've got to say about it. I know... So hopefully that somewhat demonstrates, why it pays to be patient and kind of wait for setups. It's why I only have a few setups that I look for. Just wait for them to show up and, play the odds that if you figured out. And I'm not saying my setups are the only setups. It's up to each person to kind of make come up with their own, or try and maybe adapt what I do to whatever product you trade, or however you fancy trading yourself. But hopefully that was of some use to people, to really walk you through like what I was thinking at each kind of second, along that journey. It was obviously a fairly quick trade, But it really was, that was like a great example of both the catch up and then that evolved into kind of the break high. And we got paid on both of those kind of legs of this trade. So worked out real nice. You know, not every day is going to be like today, where you get big long runs in the treasuries. So you got to take advantage of them when you can. But I've talked enough, guys. Hopefully that was of use. And I will definitely see you guys in the next video.